Thousands of rail services will be cancelled across the country over the next several days, with operators such as LNER, Avanti West Coast, South Western Railway and many others, 18 in all, being affected owing to a train driver strike. So the question is, why are they going on strike? The union behind the strike is ASLEF, headed by Mike Whelan, who is claiming that drivers are not being paid enough. That's a normal thing for a trade unionist to say. In some ways, it's the job of a trade union leader to get more money for his members, in spite of the fact that ASLEF has rejected an offer that would have seen train drivers' salaries reach £65,000. With overtime included, some drivers are already taking home salaries that put them in the top 5% of earners in the country. But we knew the union leaders were hard left socialists. ASLEF always has been. Go back to the 70s when the joke was, "As left my train in the station." But the more illuminating part of this story is that the rail bosses are a bunch of wet wipes. The government has passed legislation enabling these companies to keep minimum services of at least 40% of normal operations. But all 18 operators affected by the strikes have voided this, other than one who had a go, was even wetter, had a very feeble little effort to use the legislation, but then ASLEF said they go on strike for 5 more days, so they're backed down. This is so feeble, so utterly wet, so pusillanimous, and the rail industry is just sucking on the teat of public subsidy. It's your money. It's the railway's gravy train. Last year alone, you paid rail companies nearly £12 billion in subsidies. As Ross Clark has pointed out in the Daily Mail, a leaked slide from an Avanti West Coast internal meeting a couple of weeks ago referred to the subsidies as free money and went on to say, sounds too good to be true. Well, on this occasion, it isn't. They are happy taking your money. The whole point of privatising the rail services was to make them stand on their own 2 feet. But by giving them endless subsidies, free money as they call it themselves, we have enabled them to exploit you, the taxpayer. In other words, the rail companies could have softened the blow of these strikes significantly, avoiding the inconvenience for millions across the country. But because of the endless flow of free money provided by you, they refused to try. The point of free markets is that businesses have to feel the consequences of their decisions. But when we subsidise businesses, these consequences cease to exist. And the rail bosses pick up very generous salaries, in part paid for you, by you, while you can't get to work. And then they are so unutterably wet. I think it's time the government stood up more to the rail companies and said if they don't make use of legislation provided to keep trains running, they should lose some of their subsidies.